What's the
laminate.
material for the stage?
The stage is concrete. It's gonna be cement.
No.
Cement floor.
Is this a standard design that came from a catalog someplace?
Yes, correct. Yep. I did ask a local contractor to look at if they were to stick build it with the trusses, and the trusses being a special order or
It's a
whatever.
weird shape, yeah.
Yeah, and this all comes pre-drilled, preset. And we did look at different options and prices and sizes for the whole committee and came to this.
Pressure-treated lumber, or just
It
this?
is, actually, I believe it is red cedar, so
Okay.
it should be in pretty good shape, yeah.
And you still have to go out to bid, right, on the building of it?
We have to go out to bid on the construction part of it, correct.
Do you have a cost on what the building,
Yep.
the kit is?
The kit is about $52,000.
And you think you're going to get it built, concrete poured, electrical for $20,000?
Is that an offer?
Yeah.
No, that's a question.
Dimensions on the cement, how many feet?
We've got,
It's,
No, it's a good question. I want to
Yeah.
hear Dave's answer to that.
yeah,
Yes, we do.
I think we're gonna be in good shape there. I'm
When you-
hoping we go out to bid, that we'll
Good
be in good shape
Samaritans.
there. Now,
Yeah.
we went low with the asking price for each of the organizations. Originally, we'd all talked about 25, and so we started at 20, and if I needed more, to come back and ask them for more.
Well,
I
that's-
wanted to start at a lower amount and not ask for 25 and be over.
So if you need
So-
more, you got peeps.
Yep.
Correct.
they're still there
Okay.
So I didn't,
Good.
and prepared.
so I didn't want to go to them right away. and,
Built-in cost.
have
Right.
$100,000 and it only costs 80. I'd
Sure,
rather go
I
back.
get it.
So you're not
where
going to
we're
be coming to the town if you have cost overruns.
at. No, I don't.
What was the
No.
punctuation there? Was that a
No, I
comma
just-
or a period?
Yeah.
That's
It
why
was
the
a-
building's
it
not
was a period.
completely round,
That's what I
Lisa.
thought.
We've already cut a section out.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
I know it's 40 feet, it's 44 feet wide, or 42 feet wide, I believe. So the dimensions are there. I gave it to you, Beth, on what the concrete floor is gonna look like, the stairs and stuff.
Any other questions for Dave?
Yeah, I'd
Camille?
just like to chime in. I'm just so impressed this evening so far. We made some hard budget cuts, and a couple of departments came forward and just got so creative with, just trying to make it still work. And I commend you for this. I think that perhaps Mr. Drabick recommended we go forward if there was a limit of 20% contribution from the town. Well, that's where we're at.
Pretty much.
So again, congratulations for getting these philanthropic donations. I think it's amazing. In order to address some of the other concerns we had this evening with regard to maintenance, I can't imagine that the maintenance is going to be that much. Certainly, Anna pointed out this evening that your budget is 40% over in terms of revenues received this year. So I think that we'll be able to cover any of the maintenance that's going to be required. Given that, though, would you be able to generate revenues for leasing this pavilion out?
Our thought is to do the same thing that we do with the picnic pavilion and our tent, that if a private group wanted to come in and rent it, that we would charge a fee similar to those fees.
And certainly
So-
that could help make up for some of the maintenance.
Without question.
Yeah.
So we can expect 60% over next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the only other
42.
concern that I had was one that was also brought up by the public is just the aesthetics of it.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that that's the best looking design.
We talked about getting into a more elaborate, even like a scallop shell and that kind of thing. The cost went up
Did it?
astronomically when we started to get into those special custom-made type things. And so right away, we kind of backed off from that. This is now going to be set back. I
What
you can
about-
visualize, it's going to be set back towards the railroad track. So aesthetically, you're not going to see it unless you're looking at the band shell. Actually. I mean,
Right,
you'll see it,
right.
obviously, but it's not going to obstruct any views of the water or as you're coming down to the picnic areas or anything.
Have you come up with ways to dress it up a little bit? Like, what about lighting?
We talked about, we didn't put lighting in it to begin with, just to keep the cost down.
Okay.
But there may be some time, most of the bands that we hire bring their own lighting equipment, bring their own
And
electrical
sound
equipment,
equipment.
sound equipment, right, correct, so.
For vandalism reasons, we didn't put the fixtures in as well. We don't want stage lighting hanging or speakers
They
out.
want it, right?
And so bands would bring in their own. There were 6 different band shells that did fit our budget, and we didn't go the lowest either. We could just end up with a concrete stage or a wooden stage. The committee ended up with that design. It wasn't Dave picking it on his own,
You
believe
could
me.
go with an open back too. We decided to go with the closed back, and if we ever had, the picture shows storage areas in the back.
Yep, the doors.
So the potential is to do that. We don't have that in this just because of the cost of it.
Yeah.
But there is the potential to put a door there and then
Okay.
put some storage in the back if we had to.
And the storm rating, you've gone
Yep.
through all that?
Yeah, it was 120 miles an hour for wind load, and then it's 30 PSF for snow.
Okay.
It'll meet all our codes downstairs.
And just something real near there had some problems with some storm damage, so I just kind of,
Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $60,000 in CNRE Fund 32 to an account to be established titled McCook's Band Shell for donations received from East Lyme Lions Club, Rotary Club, and the Public Trust. This appropriation is consistent with the capital improvement plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Note this will require a town meeting. You see that?
What's the threshold for town meeting? I forget. 25?
No.
10.
10. Thanks.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 6-0.
Good luck.
Thanks, Dave. There's your picture. Next item under new business is a special appropriation of $4,895 for the emergency management NESP copy machine.
Good evening, Chris Taylor from Emergency Management.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, sir.
So we're buying a new copier machine.
Yes.
We're receiving funds from a group to do this.
The Nuclear Safety Fund.
The Nuclear Safety Fund, who funded our last one. And I'll tell you what, when we're either running emergencies or the millstone drills, I still call it millstone, but the national drills that we run, that copier machine's running 24/7. Everybody in the room has to have a copy of the emergency order, and we're all building files and all that. It's important to have a copier that's trustworthy and will be there and reliable. So, I think 8 years is a long time for a workhorse like the one we have it's run its course and it's done its well and it left nothing on the table. Do we buy this through a state purchasing plan?
It is on our state bid, and they're actually giving us a cheaper price than what the state bid is, so they've given us a better deal. And they're our
That's
current
100%?
Correct.
It's 100%
100%,
with the
yeah.
grant? Okay. Anybody got any questions for Chris? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $4,895 to purchase a new copier for the Emergency Operations Center to revenue account 01-04-400-401, parentheses, nuclear safety emergency preparation and SEP grants, and budget account 01-70-725-224-003, parentheses, NSEF copier/fax in fiscal year 2016/17.
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, our next item is a special appropriation of $480,000 for the Flanders Fire Department Class A pumper apparatus. And I have your name for the record.
How you doing? William Ricks, Assistant Chief and President of the Flanders Fire Department. Before I get off on the packet that you guys have, the updated stuff, I can just address some of the comments from the public real quick.
Bill,
There
so
is
the
no...
air conditioning is running, and that mic doesn't pick up very well. So you're going to have to pronunciate and
Yep.
enunciate and
So as far as
There
a
you go.
crack in the frame of our fire engines, I have never said or put in writing that we have a crack in our frame, so I don't know where that information came from. As far as buying a Mack fire engine, if they made Mack fire engines still with 4 to 5, 6-man cabs, I'd buy one tomorrow, but they don't do that anymore. All they make is a 2-person cab chassis that they put on garbage trucks, box trucks, and if we start taking the seating away for the members, then the volunteers got to drive their own cars. Now they're putting more liability on the town if they get into an accident responding to a call. So, said if they still made them, I'd buy them. In the updated packets, my original plan was to,
All right, so so the one we have in our
Sorry.
green folder is the proposal we're looking at, Anna? Is that
Yeah,
correct? Okay.
the newest one should be the one you got tonight.
It's one-sided. That's why.
Go ahead.
So, originally we were looking to try and replace both. New England Fire Equipment, who we purchased the ladder truck from, and the last 4 pieces of fire apparatus in town. They took a chance with us and took our specs for a new fire engine, and they're building it as a demo. Should we buy it, they have to eat it and try and find somebody else to sell it to. But they took a chance on building it for us and hoping that we would. They offered us a price break of $464,000 further on in the packet. If we buy one now, we get the same price for the next one. However, we can't do that because we can't spend money for the next 2 years out or whatnot. So we are just looking for the replacement of the one. Current engine 2 has 41,000 miles, 280,000 hours on it, 1,500 gallon tank, 1,500 gallons per minute pump. Both of the apparatus are showing their age. In the last 6 years, we spent $43,000 in repairs, almost $30,000 alone just for engine 2. Both bodies have severe twists in them, which are on the frame, but they're not cracked. Engine 1 currently has a split fuel tank, which the estimated repair cost for that is $10,000. Both are showing heavy rust and corrosion to both bodies. Engine 2, which is the one we're trying to replace now, has chronic brake problems. It had severe steering problems in the past couple months that have questioned the safety of its operation. And again, the brakes have been a huge issue lately. NFPA, which is National Fire Protection Association, states that lifespan of fire engines is 20 years. Currently, engine 2 is 23 years old, and 21 is 21 years old. You'll see some of the pictures of just the cracks and the rust and corrosion that's happening to the bodies that we have now. You'll see in the pictures the height difference in the rear of the trucks from the twist of the frame, and it's not the floor. We've moved them around. It's an 1.5 inch difference on each of them. Currently, our engine 2 is out of service after experiencing water problems at a fire at 203 Flanders Road. The engine would not go into pump gear, and members were calling for water and ultimately had to back out of the second floor after fire conditions became untenable for them. Constant pressure problems during pump operation over the years. Engine 2 has been on and off, and we've been trying to catch up with it with repairs here and there to fix it, and apparently that's not working out anymore. After the last repair of almost $1,000 to the transmission, service technicians went to do the pump test for it, and it instantly failed, not being able to pull a draft, and had water coming out from multiple places from behind the pump. We got a couple different quotes to fix this. Shipments came in around $6,400. New England was around $7,800. And then as far as the brakes, Eric's came in around $5,000. I think that's just a simple brake pad job. And New England and shipments came in around $16,000 and $14,000 to completely replace the entire brakes, lines, hoses, compressor, everything. You also see a letter from the owner of New England stating what they think the condition of engine 2 is and their estimated cost, and then actually put the quotes that everybody has given us. So whether you went with New England or shipments, you're looking at $21,000 to $23,000 of repairs to maybe get it certified and back on the road. As far as the inspection, New England had suggested that we get it safety inspected because they refused to drive it back from their shop to our firehouse the last time they worked on it because the brakes were so bad. I reached out to a state of Connecticut DOT truck inspector, and he said that municipal vehicles are exempt from state laws, and they won't inspect them. So we fall under federal, and federal inspections fall under just local mechanics that are certified to do work. And they all said that brakes need to be replaced. We talked about in the past refurbishing engine 2. We believe it cannot be refurbished due to the current federal DOT laws. Under previous laws, when it was built, the weight on a single axle was permitted. However, if we did that now, it would need a dual axle, and that's just going to be way too costly to try and put a dual axle in a truck that's only built for one. We went to Shipman's to talk about refurbishment, and they no longer sell fire apparatus. All they do is refurbishment. So this would be a huge moneymaker for them, and they advised against it. They said it was too old, and that it would be a moneymaker for them, and they chose not to get involved. Their used fire trucks salesman, or Shipman's apparatus service specialist, came and also I had him come and inspect it outside of New England, who's trying to sell us a demo truck. He stated again, NFPA says 20 years lifespan on a fire truck. Ours is 23. Again, he stated it didn't pass a vacuum test or a DNT inspection. The undercarriage and chassis has a lot of rust and corrosion. To broker or sell the truck would have to have the current pump test and DOT inspection, and he believes that it would take a lot of money to bring the truck up to compliance. Also in the conversation with him, that he stated that if New England was willing to give us $15,000 for a trade-in, to take it, because he figured $8,000 at best, and is still trying to find someone to sell it after the fact would be extremely difficult because of its age. And then there's a list of reasons from New England Fire as well, why not to refurbish it, quoting NFPA standards, the transmission, the weight of the water that it carries now. They also said that if you were to do a refurbishment on it, it would be $300,000 to $350,000. That's just a waste of money in my expense. The truck will carry, even if we did, the truck will still carry only a 1993 service date and still not comply with the 20-year requirement from NFPA. So usually when people refurbish engines, they do it at 12 to 15 years, and a refurbishment cost is 150 to 200, and they can get another 10 years out of it. That's not going to be the case with this, because it's out of service as it is, and like I said, $23,000 roughly to maybe get it back on the road now. There is another letter from the head mechanic from New England expressing what needs to be fixed and done to it. We did search for used vehicles. We searched for, so like I said, right now we have 1,500 gallons of water that we carry, because at our end of town we have very little hydrants. Mostly all of Niantic is, I want to say, 100% hydranted. Every 200 to 300 feet you're going to find a hydrant. Once you get past, start heading down Chesterfield Road, our first due area has 16 square miles of non-hydrant area and roughly 22 miles of actual road with no hydrants. So we need to bring as much water with us as possible. So like I said, currently we carry 1,500 on engine 2 and 1,000 on engine 1. I believe all the Niantic engines carry 750 because they have the hydrants. So with that being said, we can't get another 1,500 gallon tank. The biggest we can get on a single axle is 1,250. So I searched the internet through usefiretrucks.com, other brokers. Nobody has a 1,250. All I'm finding is 1,000 gallon tanks, just as old as what we have now. A little bit, you can get it for maybe $60,000, but there's no warranty, and there's a reason why people are getting rid of it. They're old. Fortunately, when we bought the tower, get ahead of myself. So yeah, when we bought the tower, if we purchased an engine now and an engine later, nothing would come due like it is now. Like last year, we bought the ladder truck. Now we're looking for an engine. We're going to be looking for an engine next year. If we space them out, this won't keep happening where we're buying rigs back to back. Just touch a base on ISO again. ISO is an insurance service office that comes in and evaluates the town's the water supply, the water departments, the firehouse, the training, the rigs and apparatus that we drive. And right now we're a 4.9, 1 being the best, 9 being the worst. And we're at the 9 part of that 4.9 because of the 900 areas up in our area. But we carry on water, which makes up the difference for that. A few examples of buildings that we require the certain gallons per minute per square foot. Flanders Plaza, Latimer Brook, Flanders Professional Buildings. We have 4 hotels in town, Stop and Shop, Industrial Park Building, Midway Mall, the schools. All of these buildings, if you did the gallons per minute and fire load ratio to what the actual books say, we wouldn't have enough engines to put the water on there. So we're just trying to stay compatible to what we have. And we have Costco coming soon too. And the fire load in there is going to be astronomical with pallets and to the ceiling of storage. A couple more examples of areas with bigger buildings and no hydrants: I-95, Darrow's Ridge, Grassy Hill Road, Larchwood Lane, King James, Alexander. You're looking at $700,000, $800,000 homes on these roads with no hydrants. So again, we have to bring our own water to them. Just touching again with the reason the tank sizes, I just went over that. Engine 1 has 1,000, 22 has 1,500, and we're just trying to get the best we can. We want to get a 1,250 now, another 1,250 a year or two from now, just to try and keep the water capacity that we have and not sacrifice our ISO rating, which ultimately addresses the insurance rates for the town. Like I said before, 16 square miles, 900 areas in the Flanders section, roughly 20 miles of actual road with no hydrants. Our overall goal is to buy 2 identical engines. So whatever we buy now, we're going to buy the exact same thing later on, which will cut down on training. So you get trained on one, you're trained on the other, and it'll cut down the maintenance and use of it to get everybody qualified and signed off. Maintenance issues shouldn't be a problem, hopefully having the same manufacturer for all the apparatus. Currently our ladder truck and 3 rigs from Niantic are all manufactured by Smeal. We have yet to have a problem with them. They are our fire apparatus vendor for maintenance currently. Development of replacing the new engine, a committee was formed to assess the needs and develop specifications of those needs. As far as the tower ladder, where we received a demo with all the bells and whistles that we didn't originally ask for, but received anyway at a greatly reduced rate. Had we taken delivery for the truck with less options, it would have cost about the same money. When we designed the new engines, we kept cost in mind at all times, basically spec'd out the bare bones of what we need to operate and operate safely and still continue to provide the same level of service as we do now. The original long-range capital improvement plan for the 16-17 budget was supposed to be $700,000 for engine 2 and $675,000 for engine 1. Those numbers were ridiculously high, and they've since come down and adjusted to $500,000 each, in the new plan being 17-18. So 17. So we're currently looking for roughly $480,000. The current demo is $469,847. We have installation. My original quotes, I was figuring high, $10,000 for radios and electronics, swap equipment over and whatnot. I actually have quotes for $7,100 for the radios, chargers, recorders, and Knox box installation, down from, like I said, the $10,000 I originally estimated. If we were able to commit to purchase this demo and build another one a year later, they would keep the same price. So unfortunately, I know we can't do that, spend money 2 years out. But so now we're going to look at the 5 to 7% increase for the next one, which is going to be over $500,000 before you have to add the extras. Again, last year, the board approved us $1.3 million for the ladder truck, and we only spent $1.1. You know, we're not looking to spend money just to spend money. And then again, you'll see the quotes for the electronics, the Knox box purchase, and the actual Smeal demo is in there with, like I said, what our officers and members spec'd out. And then the Board of Selectmen asked me to get competitive pricing, which I went out and did. Get to that. I sent out emails to 9 other fire apparatus builders, telling them we're looking for any comparable demos that you have or a price to build one and when the estimated date of delivery would be. I only got 3 responses back. E1 said they had nothing and didn't give a build. 5 Star came back with a 2016 demo with 18,000 miles on 18,000 miles on it for over $500,000. And CNS Specialty came back with 2 demos, one at 304 and one at 357. And I was excited when I first saw this because I was trying to figure out how to sell 2 engines at once for around $600,000 until I started breaking their specs down against what we actually need. They were missing, and I won't go through all of them, but I have the 5 Star specs, I have the CNS specs, and I have the specs for the Smeal demo, which is what we asked to build. And they're missing a lot of valuable stuff. They're $100,000 less because they're missing $100,000 worth of stuff that we use every day. There's no front intake for us to draft water out of lakes and ponds, which is a big thing for us north because we don't have the hydrants. They don't have deck guns. Didn't carry enough hose. The compartments weren't big enough. They were roll-up compartments as opposed to opening doors, which we found with the rescue. We tend to have problems now because sand gets stuck in there, and it's a lot more maintenance to take care of those. So as we started going line by line, it is really not a savings, even though it's $100,000 or so less. So the purchase price for the Schmiel demo was $469,847. They offered us a trade-in value of $15,000, so a remaining balance of $454,847. They also gave us another quote for $827.50 to install our tools on it from the old rig. Electronic installment was around $5,200. We have to buy a new Knox box because the engine currently doesn't have one, which is almost $1,000 for a total of $461,916. I'm still keeping it at $480. I know there's an $18,000 difference in there, but that's just for any unknowns. Like I said, we were approved 1.3 before, and we gave back over $100,000. We're not looking to spend money just because it's there. We just want to get what we need to operate safely and keep the town up to snuff with what we already have. And just a side note to mention, like I said, trying to save money. We also, it's the next line item, is we just received a grant for over $200,000, almost $200,000 SCBA's that would have cost the town almost $300,000 had we not gotten the grant. So we're out trying to save the town money. We're not looking just to spend.
That's next on your agenda. I don't want to confuse
Right, we got that.
the subject.
How long
Very
is it taking
excited
them to
talk
build the demo?
The demo will be done mid-September. And they also offered that if we do, obviously we'll go to a town meeting, but once we do commit to purchase it, the New England will give us a loaner spare until it actually shows up, so we're no longer down an engine. We actually have had some, our only engine that we had left go out of service the last couple of days for unforeseen problems, so we actually went without the first due engine in the Flanders end of town, relying on complete mutual aid. So we're
How
in a
long,
dangerous position here.
how long are they holding that price for?
They're holding that price until, I believe, January 1st. But it comes off the line. Like I said, it'll be into their possession by mid-September, and if we're not going to buy it, they're going to start looking to sell it to somebody else.
And what's the price of that machine if it's not a demo?
It's not a demo.
Yeah, if they were building that,
I couldn't tell you. I would say a little bit more because we didn't have to pay the engineering costs or anything like that because they ate all that. I don't know what that works out to be as far as their concessions. But so the five-star demo that's on there is more truck than we're looking for. It's still missing some of the exact stuff that we need, but that truck's over $500,000, and that's more. That has extras that we weren't even looking for.
right?
Okay, I'll start. Remind me your first name again, please.
Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Sorry.
No, you said so. I just forgot what it was. I'm sorry. First, thanks for your brother fireman being here. Thanks for all the good work you guys do. We appreciate it. Please understand we have to be intrusive about costs. It's not you. I hope you already know that, but I just felt like I had to say it. So I just want to make sure I understand this. You're looking for, these are called tankers, right? Do I have the right
It's
jargon?
an engine tank. It's a
It has-
fire engine.
Okay, fire engine.
Fire engine.
Just call it a fire engine, okay. So you're saying that both of them need replacement. Right now, you're asking for one,
Just for one.
and what you'd like to do is in the future get another one that's kind of identical, but you can't guarantee that the cost won't go up.
I can't, well,
Is that kind of the
If-
big picture?
when I spoke with the Board of Selectmen, I was trying to do a two-purchase.
Yeah.
But they informed me that, we can't spend money for another fiscal year out, which I
Right.
understand. So if we committed, and they didn't even want the money right now, if we committed today to buy both engines, we get both of them at the same price and don't want the money until actual delivery. So
Okay.
knowing that we can't spend money a year or two out, we're just shooting for the one right now.
But what you're asking for are two identical trucks, one now and one later?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so how many tankers do we have at the Niantic station?
They have two at headquarters and one at Station 2.
So three.
3, yep.
Three trucks. Okay, so you said B-22 is currently out of service?
Yes.
How long's that been out?
About
4 weeks?
About a month, yeah.
Okay. How often are both trucks in service at the same time?
all the time.
So what are you doing now that you don't have one up in
We're
Flanders?
getting help from other towns.
Does Niantic support you, the
Yes.
Niantic station?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if Niantic is closer to hydrants, is it conceivable that one of the trucks from Niantic could be used in Flanders?
I don't want to speak on behalf of their firehouse, so
All right.
I don't speak for other departments. It's not.
So somebody help me out with that. I'm not trying to put you
No,
on the
I
spot.
understand
I'm trying
that.
to problem solve a little bit, right?
If we went down, like I said, we only have one engine right now. If we went down that for any extended period of time, I'm sure Chief McDonald would offer us one of his until we could get that back up and running.
Do we use the trucks at the same frequency? The truck with the reservoir of water, I don't know, calling it a tanker, right? Because do we use that truck as frequently? I'm thinking not in Niantic because we have hydrants. Is that correct?
Well, they still have to go. They still have to bring the equipment and the hose that's on it. I
Right.
mean, you have the hydrants,
But they don't need the water reservoir.
I don't say they wouldn't need it.
Capacity in their tank?
If you're not
500 versus
750?
if you're not directly near a hydrant, you still need that tank water.
Okay.
So we have 1,000 gallons in our tank. Say we go, I'll just use the highway for example because there is no hydrants. We have a car fire at 1,000-gallon tank at 250 gallons a minute.
Goes quick.
We only have a couple minutes of
Right.
water before you need somebody else to bring in water.
Yep. Okay, you said you had 3. Go ahead, Mark.
Just to confirm where you're going with this, remember that we have a fire study that's ongoing right now.
Well, that's on my list of questions
good.
here.
And I'll tell you, I didn't approve the second engine going forward, or I recommended that Bill did not bring the second engine forward because, frankly, we do need to get a handle on all the equipment and our needs and what can be mutually supported. And do we need to buy double of everything? We have 5 pumpers in this town.
Yeah.
Will the study say we need 5 pumpers? Maybe, because we have very different communities. We have beach communities and we have agricultural communities way up north. But all those citizens deserve the same kind of fire protection. What will the fire study say? We don't know. But I'm going down the same road you're going with this fire study.
All right. And when is it? When is the
It's
fire
ongoing
study?
right now.
Oh, the study's underway.
It's already
underway.
started.
Oh, so with all due love and respect,
Well,
don't we feel this is a little premature?
with this engine being out and done, I mean it's done, and we do. There's 2 engines that are scheduled to be replaced. We're only replacing one of them, and waiting for the fire study for the second one.
When's the fire study going to be done?
90 days.
Yeah, please.
So, engine 22, it needs new brakes and the pumper doesn't work. In a nutshell, I understand it's corroding and everything's rusted. So, you had 2 quotes. You had one for $5,000, one for $16,000. So
So
and I know a little bit about trucks because I have a few. And if you could get a Mac, it would be recommended. That's what we have.
Trust me, if they still need them, I'd buy it tomorrow.
But you see like air compressor or the air dryer in some of these quotes. It looked like one Eric's may have given you a quote on what was needed, and the other person gave you a quote on gutting the entire brake system, new lines.
Yep.
Just based on the studies 90 days out, I mean, I'm more comfortable looking at a short-term solution for that truck before we can get some real answers on what we actually need. So if there is a fire, we're protecting ourselves for the liability side. I don't know what that number is going to be.
So say you went with the $5,000 brake job, you're still looking at $7,000 to $8,000 for the pump, and
Right.
that might not pass a pump test after the fact. So you're putting, that much more money into it. The value of the rig is still only about $15,000. You're not increasing the rig; it's still only worth $15,000.
So let's say worst case scenario, $15,000 we put into it, and it buys us 90 days. And
I
the
think
study
that's a
comes
complete
back.
waste of town money. I mean, I understand I'm asking for a lot of money, but I just think wasting that much money is, I think it's absurd. I'm not trying to sound.
and we understand it when the study comes back. If it
And
says we
I'm
need
more than
3
con-
pumpers and we have 5 and we just purchased a new one,
Well, I'm more than confident, as far as speaking on my firehouse's behalf, that when that study comes back, it's not going to say that we need to lose a pumper, because we don't have the hydrants, we don't have the water. Niantic may lose an engine because of the 100%, close to 100% hydrant areas, but we're not.
But you said you have 3 trucks now,
We have 2 engines.
21, 22, and I thought you said you had a third one.
We have a ladder truck that has 300 gallons on it.
That's the one we bought
300
last
That we
year.
bought last year, yes.
Right, so we
Okay,
bought
so
the
that's
new one
only,
last
that's
year.
only 300 gallons.
Right.
Okay.
And
So,
Niantic has 3. What are the ages of those, do we know?
2 of them are relatively new.
And one's coming up in the next 5 years.
I like
so
where
it's
you're
90
going.
days, it's 90 days from when the survey started, Mark? 90 days from now, or 90 days from, quite a while ago, we approved that.
90 days, because there's a review process, there's a comment process and all that. We've already gone through the initial sit down, meet with the company. They're formulating the population first, and then they'll sit down and start talking to town personnel. I would say in 90 days, we should have a finished product. Does that put us out to?
Well, we don't need a finished
Can we-
product. What we need is a
Well,
recommendation on
that would
tank,
be a
on
finished
fire.
product, and
I
it's
understand
what
that, but just because we're looking for a comprehensive study for the whole town for all the resources, right? If we went to them and said, hey, look, guys, we're right in the middle of evaluating our fire truck situation. I'm sure they've looked at that. They may not have the full report ready, but they might be able to give us a preliminary recommendation. And if they say, yeah, you guys are toast, you got to get it, then we're good. But I think we really need to look at that study or results of a part of that study before we move forward here.
Are they looking at capacities as well? So maybe they'll tell us instead of a 1,000-gallon truck, we need a 15,000-gallon, or we should have a 987-gallon.
I hope so.
Is that part of their?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they'll evaluate the equipment we have and then the equipment we should have.
Yeah.
That would include, I would think, the
It
amount of
feels-
gallons on a truck.
So it feels like putting $15,000 in a truck to hold it over for 90 days isn't very efficient. If we could take a truck, and I understand that we, right here in this room, maybe can't make that decision, but if we could take a truck from Niantic and donate it to Flanders for 90 days, that seemed like a gap.
And we're not asking for that. They already send us an extra truck automatically if we have an emergency. They already send us one. Now they're sending us 2 if we have something. There's no reason for them to have to park one up at our firehouse unless the one that we currently have goes down, and then
What about Stone's Ranch? What are they doing? Is that there anymore?
they are a National Guard unit, and when they get deployed, their fire apparatus go with them.
But it's there now, right?
It's there, but I don't know if there's equipment in there.
So here's the concern I have when you say that it's a waste of money to pay for repairs. I think what is a waste of money is to buy something that we don't have the money for. So what you're looking for, even though it's a better price than it was last year, is for the town to go out and bond $500,000 to acquire this truck. But there are financing costs associated with that. So wouldn't the financing costs be probably very similar to what the repair costs would be? And then that would buy us our 90 days to, get the recommendation.
Well, we
So-
were originally slated to be replaced this year, and then for whatever reason, it got pushed back. Both
Right,
of them got
and-
pushed
and
back.
that I very-
that's not on us. I mean,
Right, but I very clearly see that the 2 trucks are on the agenda for the 17-18 budget year, and that's what the town people approved. So to ask this board to go back on the word of what they've already approved just weeks ago is, I feel a little uncomfortable doing that.
Well, it'd go back to the town for a revote, right? The town would have, a town meeting
Goes
would,
through the whole
it would take a, yeah,
process.
yeah, it would take a town meeting to
Well,
approve
is it safe to assume that with the cooperation of Niantic's Firehouse that we could get through the 90 days and wait for the study?
I'm sure we could. I just don't know if the apparatus will still be around after 90 days.
So that,
See, that doesn't concern me, because
They'll build another
if we
one.
get a good deal today, if we sign on the dotted line today and get a really good deal, it doesn't matter to me, because we're gonna be paying interest expense on that. So,
But we're also getting a rig in 2 months as opposed to waiting an entire year without having another fire engine. And then possibly, again, having the one we have currently now, which is starting to have problems, go out of service again, and then having to borrow from Niantic and other towns. Like, we're starting to tax everybody. I mean, I'm a taxpayer in town, too, so I'm footing the bill just as well.
Mark, is there any way you can get a read in on this person to get an idea prior to the town meeting as to whether or not?
We're not From the
Basic
fire study,
inventory.
we're not close to that place yet. I'll tell you that both these engines are over 20 years old. You know what happens at 20 years? They start to, they need lots of repairs, and it's recommended at 20 years. I hear what you're all saying. We could Band-Aid this thing and push it down the line. I think the reality is one of these or both of these engines will need to be replaced. I'm hopeful, like you are, it'll just be one, and we can move some of the puzzle pieces, the chess pieces around town.
My concern is.
But we're going to need to replace one of these engines. One's 23 years old and one's 22 years old.
I
We're
think
up
we
against
recognize that. I think
we're
we-
up against the end of the lifespan of these
My concern
vehicles.
is whether or not a study comes back and says go down one pump truck, we would still end up purchasing one. One
still
doesn't
gonna-
run,
You're still
and
going to
then
build one.
the
Yeah.
second one will never be replaced. If the study pans out as to what's necessary, and it might not, it might be on the other side that it is, in terms of the total inventory. Because I still think you're gonna end up with one pumper truck, regardless of what that study says. The thing is not to finance two, period.
And that's why we changed our whole approach and just asking
My only
for the
concern,
one.
my big concern is that there's a fire on I-95, and we're waiting for a study that I believe, and I'll bet you $10, is gonna say maybe go down to one pumper truck versus two. We'll have done that because we're gonna only approve one. So that's my concern. Given the amount of accidents on I-95,